Molly, rise and shine.
When her sister disappears,
Oh my God.
Jill is convinced the serial killer who kidnapped her has returned.
Last year, a hiker spots Jill covered in mud, screaming about how some guy snatched her out of bed.
But with no evidence of her own abduction, Jill's friends and the police think she is delusional.
This guy took my sister because I wasn't there.
Why would he come back for you?
Because I know his secret.
Jill must convince everyone that the killer is real and save her sister in Gone.
David, you have just seen it.
I am chomping at the bit to talk about this movie. So once again, I can't fathom how movies like this get made in Hollywood. I mean, Amanda Seyfried is such a big star. Couldn't she see that the final act in this movie was so ridiculous? The story starts off with Amanda's character, Jill, just starting to recover from having escaped from a serial killer. Jill was kidnapped, taken out into the woods, and thrown into a hole where she was left for days, and eventually the serial killer came down into the hole and was gonna kill her, but she was able to disable him and escape. Now, the problem is that she ended up wandering around the woods covered in mud and slightly crazed when the police finally found her, so she couldn't find where the hole was. As a result, she had no proof that she was actually kidnapped and thrown in a hole. So the police don't believe her sister doesn't believe her, and she pretty much goes crazy and is committed to an asylum. The movie starts where she just gets out and is trying to restore her life. And what happens is that she goes to work as a waitress, and when she comes home in the morning, her sister is gone. Of course, she goes to the police, and this is a very traditional trope in Hollywood films. Nobody believes her.
Jill, there are a million other girls that this guy could victimize. Why would he come back for you?
Because I know what he's doing in Forest Park. He could have taken any one of these girls.
If you hear from Molly, give us a call immediately. Otherwise, I'll see you back here on Monday morning.
Nothing is difficult for her. Every time she goes to speak to someone about a clue, she gets the exact information that she needs to send her to the next clue, and all the clues eventually end up, you ready for this, with her getting the serial killer's phone number. But believe it or not, it gets worse. She gets the serial killer on the phone, and he admits in so many words that he was the one that captured her and threw her in the hole with the intention of killing her.
Who's this?
You know who I am. And I know who you are.
And then for the next 10 minutes, she is on the phone with the serial killer as she's driving to the woods, alone, at night, to meet him.
Well, it sounds like you are enamored with both the premise and the plot of this film.
Unfortunately not.
What about Amanda Seyfried or any of the supporting cast? Do they do at least decent work here?
Amanda Seyfried does an admirable job playing a woman on the verge of a nervous breakdown, but once she starts having this conversation on the phone with the serial killer, it doesn't really matter. And the detectives, that are actually a fairly large part of the story, aren't really given much to work with.
So does the movie have a sense of humor? What's the tone?
The tone of this movie keeps shifting wildly. It goes from a whodunit to a psychological thriller to, at the very end, as you can imagine, a horror genre. And it's so hard to follow what the style or tone of the movie is because the premise and the plot are simply so ridiculous.
Well, we should speed this up because I actually have to go meet a serial killer in the woods.
Okay.
So why don't you take your ticket and give us your verdict?
A flimsy premise, a ridiculous third act, and really a complete lack of tension, unfortunately make this movie a definitive skip it.